and welcome to this Hikvision webinar. Today we'll be looking at our mask detection solutions, what we have, what is available, and how we deploy it. So what we're going through today is a mask detection background, but why we require mask detections currently. The mask detection solutions we actually offer a bit of a product selection, as well as some basic installation guidance and do's and don'ts to get the best out of the systems themselves. So, of course, as we find ourselves currently in the global pandemic with coronavirus, the necessity for people to wear masks generally to try and combat the spread of the coronavirus itself has been implemented with a lot of advisories for mask wearing to be a common course in especially public places and enclosed areas. So, with that in mind, making sure that that's being adhered to has become quite apparent that it needs to be done. So the technology we can use to implement mask detection, of course, is helping that scenario. So look at our solutions themselves. We have a few different options and variants that we can look at, going from the AccuSense technology itself, some thermographic information, so systems, our MINMO, and our actual use of conventional cameras that may have already been installed. So first of all, we'll look at the AccuSense solution itself. This system is based upon the camera, and it can be a standalone solution. So in effect, you have your camera, and that has both a strobe light, an audio strobe light, and a flashing light, as well as an audio challenge. So once configured and installed, if the system detects somebody who is not wearing a mask, you can have a pre-programmed audible challenge along the lines of please wear a mask and that sort of stuff. You can also combine that with the flashing LED to give a visual notification to that person. You can also, with this solution, combine that with the iSeries MVR, of course, if you need recording, and our Hike Central Professional for a bit more information and back-end user systems. So the general workflow for the AccuSense solution itself, as mentioned, you have instant and audible alarm on detection of that, so localized on site, the on-site security or personnel. You can have that as an instant audible alarm with a flashing light, a flashing LED notification as well if necessary. And then at the back end, if you're using the central, you can have things like reporting for search of evidence and bits and pieces. Obviously, if you have the iSeries MVR, you have that event as well, captured on there. And you can use your linkaging actions as well. As a general overview on what solutions and how we, installation guidance here, with the AccuSense systems coming in a 4 or 8 meg variant, and with different lens options from 2.8 through to 6mm fixed, or a 2.8 to 12mm varifocal. It gives you an idea of what you can achieve with those cameras to achieve your face detection, mask detection solutions. Next up is your thermographic camera solution. So obviously we're doing a lot of the temperature screening side of things, and we've included the mask detection amongst that side. So again, this can be a standalone solution with the thermographic camera itself, web browsing, from a web browser to give you that alerting side of things. Or you have the option of using an iSeries or a Deep in Mind MVR. And then it also has the option, of course, as well for the Hike Central Professional, if you want more reporting and back-end side of things. Again, this system itself, or as a standalone solution, camera installed, will give you mask detection as well, of course, your thermographic information. And as I say, when coupled with either recorder or central, you can do a little bit more in the background, of course, recording, playback, and bits and pieces. When the system itself, as you can see here, when somebody normally goes through, what you'll see on the system is just a green icon with, if you're using the Deep in Mind system, with their face information, and it's then recorded on the database. If it's yellow or an orangey colour, that person's not wearing a mask. If it's red, they've got high temperature side of things, or you have a combination of both. And that information, of course, can be used to generate alarms and stuff like that. If you're using central, of course, as well, you can pull out statistics on records for mask wearing and bits and pieces like that. solution itself is, again, we offer a few different options here. We have the thermal camera solution, so that's both in two different formats. That's a turret or a bullet style. So the turret itself, generally the smaller range focal lengths, so 3mm and 6mm. Installation heights and guidances of field detection distances are there. Or we've got the longer range bullets with the 10 and 15mm lens structures on them as well. To the right, we do mention the black body detection. That's more for the thermographic side of things, for lowering the actual temperature threshold range as well, from 0.5 degree accuracy to 0.3. If you need more information about the thermographic camera side of things, there is an additional video available on the website to have a look at. Next up is the min-mode solution. So this is our access control facial recognition terminal. And again, this can be a standalone solution itself. So literally just that can be mounted on a wall or on a plinth. We use a few different versions of that solution. And that itself will do your temperature screening as well as your face mask on there. So it's a completely standalone solution. You enroll people, they don't have to even be enrolled. As I say, you can't give you a temperature reading as well as your mask reading. The system can then has a number of outputs or 2 outputs on the unit, so you can trigger whether the door opens or generate an alarm, that kind of stuff on that. Again, if you're using the Hikvision Professional solution, you can have a lot more reporting and AI in the background on that side. So as mentioned, on the general workflow, so on-site side of things, if you have an instant alarm, audio alarm and alert, and a visual on the screen saying please wear a mask, and you can restrict the access to that area by using the output to not allow the door to be opened, etc. So, and again, if you're using your Hikvision solution, you can put out data and reporting side of stuff on mask wearing and bits and pieces, and the access record with stats and that kind of stuff. For the installation side of things, as a general overview, that's your general mounting heights and what the capture people. As I say, we do a couple of different options. A wall mount, we do a plinth mount as well with the plinth. So check out the website for more details on those. And then finally, we'll be looking at the conventional camera solution. So with that, that means that if you have a CCTV installation already in, it's possible that you may be able to use those cameras themselves. For your mask detection, you will need a deep-in-mind MVR with the mask detection firmware on them, and then some slight scenarios with regard to the camera capability as well as installation, which we'll look at in a second. And that will give you mask detection as well as the graphical display that you can see on the left-hand side there, which will give you the same color side of things. So if you get a green icon as someone's walking through, that's perfectly fine. If it goes to orange, that means that person wasn't wearing a mask. So again, the general workflow on there, it's intuitive monitoring, it's real time. Gives you those options of not wearing a mask if the person is on the database. It will give you information, as you can see here. If the person doesn't have to be on the database, it can give you a stranger indication with no mask, and that kind of stuff. And again, with Central, you can pull out your statistics reporting in the background if necessary. So as mentioned, conventional camera solution, you do have to make sure the camera itself has a few criteria the way it's installed. It should be installed in front of the passageway or doorway to capture the face, and it's a horizontal angle of detection must be less than 25 degrees. So in effect, you want to make sure you're capturing the full face as someone's walking through that particular area. And make sure the elevation angle, as mentioned, will capture that information. And the more important side of stuff is the PD, so the pupil distance pixels need to be larger than 60 to distinguish the face and make sure you get that information. So you're basically looking at a 2 megapixel camera above, really, to make that feasible. And the obvious one, of course, is make sure the field of view is clear without any obstructions, and the area that the person's been walking through gives you the best opportunity to capture their face in full side of things. So looking at the installation guidance, really this is based more on the camera side of things, and of course than the min-mode terminals, but some do's and don'ts really. So as mentioned before, your pupil distance that is important. So it's going to be greater than 60 pixels. Vertical angle 15 degrees plus and minus 5. mask detection side of things, you're looking at ideally a lighter coloured mask on that side, and making sure that you're getting a good contrast on there to give you that mask detection. And of course, good lighting levels. All camera systems need a good level of lighting to work correctly. Mask detection solutions are no different in that respect. So some of the potential areas where you may face some other incorrect or false alarms. One of the most common ones, really, to be fair, is the side face scenario. So when you're choosing an area that you're going to be trying to monitor for mask detection, ideally it's going to be an area where you're not going to get people walking from left to right, right to left through that area. The camera itself will recognise that's a face, and of course, if you see most of the side of the face where the mask isn't covering, it would suggest that person isn't wearing a mask, even if in this scenario, as you can see, the mask is on, but it's just a small portion of the face. Another side of things in this is making sure that the angle of the face. Now, if someone's purposely looking down and you can't see the face mask in the field of view, then of course the system's not going to see it. But also it highlights the scenario where you need to make sure that the angle of the camera installation is going to give you that face, as much of the face as possible. So too much of a steep angle from installation, straight from a ceiling pointing down, it's not going to work, or if it does work, it's not going to be particularly accurate. So to ensure you're given the field of view as well as the area of capture as much time to capture that information as possible. Another couple of areas, of course, if the camera does go into IR, so low light, as I say, you will start to possibly see false detections, or not detecting when somebody's wearing a mask, or even saying that somebody's wearing a mask when they're not. As mentioned before, you need to have good lighting levels for this side of stuff. You get low lighting or IR is not ideal because you're losing that contrast level. And of course, the other one you can't be really sort of detailed against is if somebody purposely covers their hand that over the mouth when they're wearing a mask, it's not going to see that, and it will give you a false detection, or possibly if they're wearing a mask, then it's obscure with the hands, going to say they're not wearing a mask. Obviously, it's ideal in those areas that you're not trying to cover your face with your hand, etc. So, recommended scenarios, obviously, with today's government guidance, or the government guidance as today, pretty much anywhere internally now, inside, you're looking at possibly having to wear masks. So, transportation systems, schools, workplaces in factories, etc., retail environments are all, the recommendation is now for mask wearing. Obviously, pretty much everywhere nowadays has a ruling with regard to should or shouldn't be, or when you should be wearing a mask. So it's just a case of identifying that when it should be and deploying the system correctly to make sure that you're capturing the information that you require. So solution conclusion. So the AccuSense camera, as I say, is a standalone solution. You've got your instant alarm, of course. If you couple that with your MBR, you've got your evidence search or central. Same with your thermographic camera. The MIMO system itself's got access control and TNA, intuitive reporting if used with your central solutions. And with the deep in mind, you've got that side of stuff with intuitive reporting again with the central solutions. The solution value is flexible deployment. As mentioned, we've just gone through there, we've got quite a few different options to combat different scenarios. It can be as simple as just putting a camera up itself and just allowing that to give you an audible and a visual alarm, all right way through to having sort of a fully integrated system with multiple cameras via MVRs or the central solution. You get your real-time alerting now, whether that is your alert from the standalone solution as your audible alarm and LED lighting, or whether that's going through to a monitor station with central giving you those real-time alerts and alarms. It's a high level of accuracy, of course, if the solution is installed correctly with the parameters we discussed a second ago. You should be able to get a high level of accuracy for your mask detection. And of course, if you're using the central solution, your statistics and reports which you can pull out give you extra added value for information about mask detection. So look at the product selection. We've already sort of brushed on this, but we'll go through it again. So mainly you're looking at the AccuSense network cameras. And basically you look at the second generation systems, which as highlighted here, the part number has got 6 on them. So the DS2CD 2046GU IU SL. So all of these here, so the 20 series, 23 series, 2T and 26 series all have the flashing strobe, as well as the audible challenge side of things on them as a standard. And that gives you that option. You'll need the correct firmware on them to achieve that. And they can, as I mentioned before, it can be a completely standalone solution to just give you that mass detection with the audible one. And we go on to the recorders and the thermographic side of things. So the deep line MVRs, as mentioned, the IDS. So if you're using a conventional camera solution, you'll need a deep mine solution, deep mining recorder. The thermographic bullets and turrets with different options with regard to lens as well as resolutions. So whether it be the entry-level systems with the lower resolution of 164 and 20, going up to the higher resolution of 384 by 288 resolutions, and your different lens structures that we talked about earlier about your coverage. And then we go to the mid-mode solution itself. So this, as mentioned, is a standalone. We do have a couple of different options, mounting options, as well as screen sizes, but they'll give you the same options with regard to the mask detection, as I say. So that will allow you to be able to allow or deny access with regard to someone who is or isn't wearing a mask. And of course, you've got the additional thermographic technology for temperature screening and that kind of stuff. And then we have the I-Series MVR for standard installations. Back Central Professional, we've mentioned a few times. Of course, we do a range of different monitors and displays that you can go, and of course your PoE switches to get everything on the network. And that about covers it really for today. Brief overview on what we have available. Obviously, if you have any questions, please feel free to look at the website, contact your distributor, your BDM, a Hype BDM, or of course the pre-sales guys. I hope you found that interesting, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.